Hi, this is Davidian of Raquel and Davidian. This is my ode to three greats from different sides of the veil. And if you've got ears for it, I have Ra's favorite mind story, Paul Hedderman's true-sighted take on non-duality, and Daniel Schmachtenberger's invaluable sense-making bag of holding. Only Ra is directly affiliated with human design, but the concepts mentioned by the other two benefit one's human design contemplations on the mind, not self, passenger consciousness, and the distortion from your open and undefined centers. Check the description for where to catch those discussed. Paul Hedderman introduced me to the concept of traveling lighter through life, greatly complementing human design in such a powerful way, and the irony of that statement is not lost on me. Non-duality greatly heightens and accelerates your human design practice, but human design does nothing for non-duality. And Paul Hedderman would probably agree with that. So I hope he does not take any offense to my sincere ode to the man. Anyway, human design and Paul Hedderman's take on things go very well together, again, from the human design perspective. So here you go.
I had to go to I didn't have to, went to a talk near Walden Pond in Massachusetts, in a little town called Lincoln. Very rural area, but high rural, rich people. Very nice place I was going to go to. And there was a railroad crossing, and there was a big commotion going on. It was about 11:30 at night. Lights were going off. The police were there, and we had to stop at a stop sign and sit there for a while. And so the cop came over, and we go, "Officer, what's happening?" And he says, "Oh, a lady was listening to her GPS. It told her to turn right on the tracks, and it said destination 50 yards. She kept going for 15 yards on the tracks." Hearing this, your own experience tells you, what the fuck? And you follow this thing. Incredible amount of faith. Well, what is that but just a mimicking of how much freaking faith we have in our head? Give me a break. You don't? I know people in recovery, they had the worst thing ever happen to them. And maybe they built temples there and they've used it for excuses for everything else failing their life. There's a lot of value, man. That worst thing is valuable to the mental state because it's got a chunk full of juicy story about it, yeah? Then suddenly something happens. The situation didn't change. It's in the past. It's the worst thing ever happened. It's like in stone, yeah? But suddenly something changes, let's say the mind, and then it looks back on that and says, hey, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because it led me to this point that opened up this. So what is it? Can something that's the worst thing suddenly transmute itself into the best thing? Or is it us that give it the meaning it has? When I was in a certain condition, that situation seemed the worst thing that ever was. When this condition changes, that condition changes. That's one example. That's what's happening all day. All day. We're blaming things out here, thoughts and feelings and this and that, for our condition. But basically, as the Course in Miracles says, this is projected and then perceived. So truly, we're dreaming this place, and then it's perceived through these eyes, because these eyes are produced, in a sense, their schematics is to see things. So we're seeing what our own mind has projected. Yet we don't see our role in it. We don't see our role. We don't see that the thoughts are just thoughts. It's the mind that gives them all the meaning they have. We don't see that the feelings that are driving me crazy they don't have the force to drive anything crazy. The mind is the engine. What we're doing, we're complaining and bitching about all the railroad cars when we're the engine that's pushing it all. We just don't see our role in things. And when you do, there'll be a humility that will drop over you, and things that you could never possibly produce will become available. That's how large a role we have here. When this changes, everything has the possibility of changing. Old stories, chronic pain, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but all these things, suddenly everything's up in the air. Again, finally, instead of being under them and trying to evade all the shit falling on you, but now you see you're the juggler in a sense. You play a role. Then blame drops off. You're not blaming any motherfucker for anything that ever happened because you see your role in it finally, your real role, which is you and I are given everything all the meaning it has. Let that hit you. That's an incredible, incredible statement.
And this is from Daniel Schmachtenberger. I feel my mental acuity bump up by multipliers every time I hear him speak, and they're worthy of multiple listenings. His War on Sensemaking series is invaluable, so I'll link to it and other competing favorites in the description.
If someone holds false beliefs or holds true beliefs but that are very partial, were held as more complete, again, end up being very distorted. If someone holds distorted worldviews and then they try and do logic, factoring those things as true, everything else will be affected by distortion. So not holding false or misrepresented beliefs or ideas is really fundamental to being able to do sense making. And I think what we're wanting to talk about here is the next step in giving people tools to notice where distortion is occurring, to, again, further inoculate their sense-making against distortion, and also recognize when they are a source of distortion.
Ra Uru Hu is the founder of human design. And here, in the man's own words, is my favorite Ra anecdote, which is actually attributed to someone else, but I heard it from this recording.
My favorite mind story came from a student and a funny guy, Sheldon LeBron. Some of you may know Sheldon. Tells me this story about this guy who wakes up and he's got this incredible thing in his head. He's going to get rid of all of his possessions. He's going to sell his shares. He's going to clean out his bank account. He's going to take all his money. He's going to go to Las Vegas. He's going to go to the roulette table. He's going to put everything on 18 black. And then he thinks, hey, that's kind of crazy. You know, when he goes to work, next day he wakes up, this thing is in his head. Get rid of all your stuff. Take all your money. Go to Vegas. Do your thing. Day after day, his mind is at him. Finally, he says, okay, hey, this is what we're going to do. So he gets all his money and he closes everything down and he goes to Vegas and he goes into the casino and he gets to the roulette table and he puts all the money on 18 black and it comes up 13 red. And he goes, shit. This is mind. You see, you will make a decision with your mind, and it turns out to be the worst, the most stupid thing that you've ever done. And your mind never says, wow, am I bad at this? Your mind says, look, we can do this now. As if you should trust it after it just destroyed your life. You're going to trust your mind to make the next big decision for you. This is insanity. Mind doesn't know whether this or that is really suitable. It just measures this and that. The mind doesn't know where this or that will go. All it can do is say, hey, look, there's a this and there's a that. That's all it can do. It's not in charge of this life. It's not in charge of what makes this life correct, healthy, viable, all of those things. And you see, the moment that you enter into your experiment of strategy and authority, what you're doing is you're stripping the mind of the one thing that it will do that will destroy your possibilities in this life. You're taking away the mind's control over your decision-making process. Because otherwise, it is these open centers that are going to give you your purpose in life.
I was going to end it here, but oh, what the heck. Here's some bonus Paul Hedderman, a passage from one of my favorite rereadable books of all time, The Incomplete Works of Paul Hedderman, Volume 1, which is also called On Having Never Left. I'll put the Amazon link in the description. It's invaluable.
Exceedingly helpful passenger consciousness considerations.
This is passage 32, Timelessness. You have an idea that you're something that you're not. You're hearing everything from that idea. That's the first mitt that goes up. It catches everything. The brain producing the sense of self is quite fast. Various research has different conclusions to the exact speed. There's no process in this world that can get prior to that. There's no gunslinger of doing and having that can outdraw that. The only thing that can outdraw that is the sense of being, that place of timelessness, because there, the gun has always been out. There is no challenge. It's only in timelessness that there's stable relief from a process. You can't use another process to try to get in front of that, because it will claim everything you do as the doer of it. It will claim your meditation. It will claim your yoga. It will claim everything. It has no respect for 500-year-old lineages. It doesn't care you're wearing loose clothing and have a loving gaze. You'll be thinking you're the one with the loving gaze and a beautiful view. That's not it. If you believe you can gain something, you can also lose it. Achieving, unachieving, having, losing will be seen as a dualistic, tumbling mental cascade, all being used to imply the haver of having, the loser of losing, etc. I hope you enjoyed that, and it provides you with some benefit. May it favorably tweak, however minimally or deeply, your understanding and appreciation of the mystery that is you. Good luck and good journey.